Alright, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are wrapping up the Amazonas event over on the NA version of the game, and that means Valentine's should be coming out in about a week or two, depending on, NA release dates and, if they want to drop it a little bit earlier or a little bit later, just kind of depends on some wonkiness over on the NA version of the game. But I kind of want to just put out this video prepping people for Valentine's, and I'll probably do the same thing for the Chaldea Boys thing when it comes out, because it can be very overwhelming as a player when they just vomit all of these servants at you, and they're just like, all right, figure it out, dum-dum. Here's like 30 billion servants going on raid up, if you want them, get them. When, like, in all reality, this is kind of a sham. I'm not gonna lie, this is a really bad banner to summon on, because these split raid ups actually give you a less chance of getting who you want. Now, let's say you really don't care about getting either, excuse me, if you don't care about getting Sei or Lance or Artoria, then this can be a very, very good banner, because you don't care that the raid up split, because you probably want both of them equally. But unless you're one of those people that you're like, yes, I would love to get either Tamamo or Sei equally, if you're not one of those people, you're just better off summoning for Sei on her individual raid up, and I would recommend you do that anyway if you want Sei, because she's limited, no one else is. You can get spooked by any of these other servants, like some of them are story locked and whatnot, but they're not limited. Technically, you can get them at any time, unlike Sei. Sei is limited, which means you cannot get her unless she's on raid up, which is like why you should be summoning when she's on solo raid up if you want her. If you want Sei at all, your best chance to get her is to get her when she's on solo raid up, because when she's on dual raid up, the raid up percentage is split. So instead of having like a 1% chance, or it's something along those lines, like 1% or like 0.8% to get the 5-star you want, you have like a 0.4, 0.5% chance to get the 5-star, which, it may not sound like a lot, but that's just innumerable more amounts of Saint Quartz you would have to spend to try and guarantee to get the servant. Now, obviously, nothing's guaranteed. You could summon on the Sei Jack raid up, and you could get Sei when you don't even care about Jack. That could definitely happen to you, but you got to give yourself the best odds, because, you don't really want to get shafted when you're trying to pull for a servant you want. Now, that being said, are there good servants going on raid up? Of course. There are definitely servants in here that are very, very strong, some that are even worth summoning for, but the main gist is that a lot of these servants you can pick up in, like, say, a free 5-star ticket, of which we know we're going to be getting 2 in the future, or you can get spooked by them, which is why it's probably not as wise to go for these servants unless they're just absolute must-haves for your account. Like, unless someone like Artoria is your favorite character, I don't recommend going for her on these raid ups. I just recommend going for Sei if you want her. Now, Sei herself's not anything like super crazy. She's definitely good, but she's not like game breaking or anything. So if you want to summon for her, you should probably start prepping your quartz now. But yeah, like, we could talk about some of the servants here, but I really just don't advise you summon on them anyway, because again, you got to remember how stacked this year is on the NA version of the game. We have a ton of insane servants coming out later on. Like, the most named one is going to be Artoria. Like, that's the big one that's coming out, and you can't be wasting your Saint Quartz on banners like this. But if you're one of those people that absolutely must pull on these banners, if you're someone that's like, I have to summon Mr. ZTL, Mr. YouTube man, if I don't summon on this banner, someone's gonna light my house on fire. And I'm like, okay, what is the best banner for you to summon for? Obviously, Sei is the one you want to go for the best value, but the few ones that we could, like, just kind of pick out here notably that are really good, we'll go through some of those. So first and foremost, you have someone like Artoria. Artoria is absolutely exceptional. She just does the big damage, quite literally. She's a giant big beat stick. She will get a buff in the future over here that basically turns her into a Buster Brave Chaining machine and just gasses her damage through the roof. She can also pseudo loop because of this effect on her NP down here, but she's actually very, very strong. There's actually some nodes that if you have to Buster farm because you don't end up getting Artoria or you don't end up getting Scotty, she's actually very strong for a lot of those nodes, just because her natural output for damage is extremely high. And plus, I know people really like Saber Faces, so she's definitely a strong one to go for. So is Morjin. If you look at Morjin, she's kind of like Artoria, except she's got a special damage mod right here, and she has a Buster crit niche over here, where she's able to increase the star weight of her Buster cards and then get some pretty decent Buster damage, as well as providing some stars for herself, while also having a 30% battery. So Morjin's very, very solid if you want to go for her. Lancer Artoria is also rather good. I kind of just look at her as quite literally, and this is going to sound really stupid, but just the Lancer version of normal Artoria, because they both basically serve the same purpose, although she's a bit better because she has the 50% battery, but she basically is just a giant beat stick. This is something she'll get in the future. We're not going to be seeing this for quite a while, but you'll still get very good use out of her for her having the mana burst, for her having the 50% battery over here, and having Pierce invincibility built into her NP. She's definitely just a very strong servant to go for. If you just need a decent, strong AoE Lancer that you can kind of just splash into any team comp. Her only weakness is that she really doesn't have any survivability. Same for like Morjin and Artoria, but they're kind of meant to be paired with Merlin, who fixes a lot of those problems for them. Then you can have Drake over here. Drake herself is very good as well. She's pretty much good for the same reason that Lancer Artoria over here is also pretty good. Just because she has like the 50% battery, can pierce invincibility. It's just like generally applicable in a lot of stages. She has this effect over here that I really like, where she drops stars when she fires her NP as a buster servant. That's insanely good. She will get this buff over here, by the way, as well. That gives her the Pierce defense and Pierce invincibility combo, which is insane, but we're not going to be seeing this for quite a while. This was a more recent buff over in the JP version of the game, so I don't expect that anytime soon, but she's still very good right now. Maeve is one of those servants that if you wanted to summon for her now, this is what I would call an investment servant, because if you look at all of her buffs when they come through, she is absolutely insane. Every time that I get a chance to talk about Maeve, I absolutely sing her praises, because she is just the stupid, dumb, insanely good servant. Like, I don't know why they made her as good as she is, because with stuff like this, she's very self-sufficient, but then she has this niche of being able to buff her male allies by giving them a 30% battery and double buffing them, right? And then also having the ability to nuke one enemy's defense by 30% for one turn. It's just insane. And then on top of all of that, she got a good damage mod as well, which, you know, isn't really something we should be praising, but you have people like Jack running around. If you guys didn't know, she actually got shafted on her special damage mod, even after they buffed it 50%. They absolutely shafted her. It's supposed to start at like 150, which, you know, is the standard for like damage mods, but for whatever reason, Jack just got absolutely unbelievably shafted on this, and Maeve didn't. So it just makes Maeve a very, very strong servant when she has all of her buffs live. Then you have Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl, I think, is one buff away from being probably the best single target rider in the game. I think she's just missing on one buff. I think they just need to give her one little thing. I don't know what it possibly could be, because usually FGO kind of takes their servants in weird directions, but she's already set up for success with a strong charisma, the ability to drop 25 stars for herself. Combo is very nice with her third skill, and then her second skill being a targetable guts and a buster performance. 30% for 3 turns is very modern. That's a very like standard modern buff. It's very good. If they really just took this, made it like 3 turn, and then, you know, Lord forbid they want to bump that up to a 50% battery, you know, she'll be definitely cooking. Maybe buff up her NP, but I think this is definitely priority. You give her like that, and then maybe just an NP buff just to give it a little bit more damage, so she kind of is a little more like long lasting and has more impact. I think she'd be absolutely insanely broken. Europa is kind of just like generically like a very good rider. We'll talk about her, I don't know, like maybe more when she comes back on a raid-up or something, but she's just kind of like generic good. Like, there's nothing really bad about her. It's just nobody really talks about her because she's overshadowed by Super Orion releasing when she releases, but she has the coup dodge skill but with invincibility, which is insane. 100% debuff resistance is insane. The fact that she gives herself just a very good buff to her hybrid deck plus a 30% battery is insane. The AoE free charm that Shoot Hit Doji has, as well as the reduction of defense, is absolutely insane. And then the fact that she makes herself very tanky and gives herself a buster mana burst when she fires her NP is also insane. She's just kind of like standard.jpg good rider, right? Like, she's just very solid. She's really, really good. Tamamo, I don't think we really need to talk about. She's literally the de facto arts support type servant until Castoria comes out. And even after Castoria comes out, she's absolutely insane. Sanzo is literally just punch things, you know, 80% battery. Plus the NP damage is absolutely insane. This makes her hit very, very hard, and this is super useful for farming in challenge quests. Do keep in mind, this will get a buff as well to further increase her damage, because now this not only gives her more utility on top of like this that she gives to the party, which is insanely broken, but now she also gives them attack. It still functions as a taunt, and this also helps her damage be a bit more consistent, because The only issue with her right now is that you only get this for the initial turn. So like her damage can fall off after the initial burst, but that helps her be a bit more consistent. So I do like to see that. Scheherazade and Anastasia, they're both fine in their own rights. They're just pretty good for like looping if you need an AoE caster that can loop, which you might not think is something you need, but then you get to the tower event and you're like, man, I don't really have any AoE caster. So they can be very, very good for that if you need an AoE caster. They can definitely fill that role pretty well. I'd lean more to Anastasia than Scheherazade, but really it's your personal preference on that one. I mean, she does have the 50% battery, so I actually think you should definitely lean more towards Anastasia, but, you know, Scheherazade is not like infinitely worse. Well, maybe she's like a couple tiers worse, but you guys know what I'm saying. Jack is very, very solid. Basically just nukes females. Osaka Behime, we just talked about. She is just a generically like very good support type servant, with her giving like defense, and can also just be a solo servant in her own right if she wants to. Nightingale has the foundation to be a good servant, but is not a very good servant right now. I would definitely avoid her. Cetanai is not as bad as people say, but she's not as good as people say either. I think she's pretty accurately ranked at like being a B or B plus servant. She's definitely just a very, very solid single target alter ego if you really need someone like that. Can loop her NP in challenge quest. Has some weird anti-dragon NP down niche on her own NP. Super weird, but you know, she's got it. Jean is very good if you just never want to die, I guess. And Janako is good for that if you want to do that while doing a little bit of damage. So that's kind of your guide for the units. Like people like Altera, Orion, Brad. Like, I would kind of avoid those people. I really wanted to summon for some of them. Unless, I mean, look, I get it, okay? Like, I understand. If you want to summon for Bradamante, like, I get it, bro. Like, I understand. I summoned, like, let's not misunderstand. I own up to it. I summoned for Brad, okay? Like, dude, I get it. I understand. Believe you me, I understand the appeal. They got me too. But I'm trying to tell you, don't be like me. Don't be weak. You gotta be stronger than that, man. You can't give into the simping, okay? Gotta save your Then again, I got her first multi, so if you're feeling lucky and you get her first multi, that could also work out for you. But yeah, that's kind of just my generic. I've been saying generic a lot in this video. That's my general guide for the Valentine's rotating banner. I just know it can be very overwhelming for new players. I know when I was starting the game, I was like, why are there 50 servants on raid up? Like, what's going on? So I just wanted to kind of put this out for some of you guys. Don't expect the event guide or anything to come out until really the event's a bit closer. I would like to see it announced on the NA version of the game, but I thought because FGO is one of those games where people really do try to plan out their summons, that this is something I should get out ahead of time. So people either, like, say Tamamo's your favorite character, at least you know that Tamamo's going to be going on raid up, and you can kind of prepare for that. Because, again, I know FGO, unlike a lot of other mobile games, or even more so than other mobile games, is, like, insane with how much people are willing to save and prepare and like how they're going to use their quartz. And people budget their Saint quartz better than they budget their actual IRL, like, money, right? Like, I just don't understand. Like, people will be, like, over here with $2 in the bank account wondering if they can afford Taco Bell, but yet somehow they are balancing an FGO quartz budget better than that. It just baffles me beyond recognition. But with that being said, if you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, links down in the description down below. I'm affiliated with LD Emulator, Loot Cakes, all that good stuff. I'd appreciate if you guys would hit up those links because, you know, helps me out and it's free. With all that being said, though, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice day. Peace, late, guys.